first off, we have to give a shout out to the wonderful women-led sponsor of this podcast, which is No So Patches. You guys, if you're listening to this the day it came out, Women-Led Wednesday was yesterday. If it's not the Thursday it came out, Women-Led Wednesday was November 26th. But you can support Women-Led any day of the year. And you are supporting Women-Led anytime you listen to this podcast, share the podcast, rate, review the podcast, or click on the sponsor links and support those who support us. With No So Patches, you can add flair to your gear. It's not just for repair. Make it your own with their fun, incredible patches. Use the code FLAIRINITUP for 15% off your next order. That code is in the show notes. Flair, FLAIR, IN it up. Flaring it up. Go check it out now. Hello, everybody out there. Welcome back to another episode of Tearing It Up. If you are listening to this, day it releases, happy Thanksgiving. If you are listening to it after, I hope you had a great one. It's going to be fun. We're going to dive into a really awesome foundation. If you guys thought we were done talking about cycling for the year, you're very wrong. We can talk about it year round. And I mean, we just did recently too with the Venture Birds girls. You know, they do some mountain bike coaching and clinics and things like that. So it's just always going to pop up for us here at Tearing It Up. But today is surrounds a little bit more of cycling than some others. So I'm excited to dive in. We've got Vanessa here from the SheSends Foundation. I've shared some stuff from them on my Instagram if you guys follow along. So some of you may be familiar with it, but we're going to get into the whole background of it and learn a little bit about Vanessa herself too and her role and how she got into the foundation and all that. So I'm going to turn it to you right now, Vanessa, and just ask you first. What we like to ask all the guests is, where are you in the world as we record today?
Well, hello, and thank you for having me. And I couldn't love your name of your podcast more. It's the best. So
Thank you.
thank you for having me. And I'm in Petaluma, California. So
Awesome.
NorCal, just a little north of San Francisco.
Anything that's within 3-4 hours of me, I say you're oh, you're my neighbor. I don't know if people have the same sentiment to me, but a long drive to me is, 8+ hours. So I feel yeah, if you're in a 4-hour difference, we're basically neighbors.
Exactly. We are. I
Yeah.
mean, I would drive up to see you in a minute. And so even if it is 4 hours.
Yes, yes. People do it all the time, every weekend, especially coming up here as winter is just on our tails. A lot of the skiers in the Bay Area are coming up here every weekend. I don't know how those weekend warriors do it, but, hats off to them. Well, Vanessa, anyway, so tell us a little bit more about you. Did you grow up in that area, or where are you from originally?
Yeah, so I grew up in Napa actually, in wine country. So and then yeah, grew up there and then moved to Durango, Colorado to go to school. So I lived in Colorado for a long time and then eventually made my way back here to Sonoma County where I now live in Petaluma. And um yeah, super, super excited to be working on this She Sends project. So I can give you a background. I will try not to take too long, but let me know what you want to know about my background and I'll
Yeah.
try and be more.
Well, okay, so first of all, with the Durango thing, Durango's been coming up in this podcast a lot lately too, because I was there in October for Outdoor Media Summit. And like I mentioned, Venture Birds, they were just on the podcast. They have some history and ties in Durango, and I just love it. And I'd forgotten until I went there that I was actually looking at Fort Lewis College way back in the day. So I'm assuming, is that where you went to school?
Yeah, that's funny. I was at the Outdoor Media Summit too. We didn't even
No
see each other.
way.
Why didn't we meet there? What the hell?
Oh my
Well,
God.
side note, I was very excited that there was 50% women, it seemed like to me at that summit, which was cool.
Yeah, there was a lot.
But yeah, so were you on the train?
Yes. Yeah.
I was on the train.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe you were there. I should have gotten
Yeah,
back to
that
Ace
was fun.
earlier in communications. I don't know if it would have come up, but I would have loved to have been able to interview in person or something, or even just, like,
Oh
meet
my
in person.
gosh.
It's always so fun to get to hang out with the guests before or after recording or anything like that. That's crazy. Okay, well, if you're going next year, like, we'll have to stay in touch, and I mean, hopefully our paths cross in person before, a year from now, but
Absolutely, we need to go ride our bikes.
that's
But, yeah, I
awesome.
did go to school at Fort Lewis and have friends who still live there, so was excited to go back for the media summit. My husband was presenting there, and I was there as an attendee, and then, just excited to also just visit where I used to ride and ski and kayak and climb and do all the sports, so fun to be back for
Yeah,
sure.
I loved it. I loved it so much, and I definitely wanna go back in the winter and more in the summer, fall, all the things. Um, before we kinda dive into the background of you a little deeper and of SheSends, what will you tell us all, like, what exactly SheSends is and what their mission is?
Yes. So we are a nonprofit. We're a foundation. We're a 501(c)(3), and our mission is connect, support, and inspire women and girls through the sport of cycling, mountain biking specifically. So, what does that mean? Um, there are so many great organizations out there doing work on the ground to get more women and girls and to create some equity in the sport. So what we're doing is currently this year we've been trying to lighten the load of fundraising for people. So tons of nonprofits and grassroots orgs doing this work, but we're trying to say, hey, we know you're doing the work. We are not. We want to help fund what you're doing. And then individuals too. So we've funded everything from like beginners who are going to their first ever gravel camp, who've never ridden gravel, and as adults to young women who are trying to race at the pointy end of the spear in U23 races, XCO racing, to women who want to maybe try coaching. They've been riding for a long time, but haven't necessarily tried their hand at coaching. So we're kind of trying to fulfill needs that are not currently being met in the world of cycling and for women because currently the ratio is skewed still. We are about 25% of the participants in cycling, so we'd love to see that be closer to 50-50.
I love it. I'm excited to get into it because, it's cycling in general, especially mountain biking, has just grown exponentially over the last decade. But and we're seeing so much more women in the sport and all that. But when you really break down the numbers, sometimes it's crazy to see like, oh wait, like there is so many more than there were, but there's still a big gap, right? It's wild when you actually see those numbers and then you think like, "Holy cow, if the gap is still that big, like, it was even bigger." Like, it's sometimes hard to wrap your head around some of these with all sorts of, sports, really, and we had a good conversation, before we started recording when we met for the first time last week or whatnot, with my experience in women's wrestling and just the parallels between so many sports. So, like I said, I'm excited to talk in more and get a little deeper about just, how big the differences and gaps are still there and how needed these foundations and the support are. And I think obviously our audience, being mostly women, probably know that, feel that, and maybe a lot of them too are even experiencing it now with daughters or nieces or just the younger generation. Maybe they're teachers and seeing it, and it's I have that experience now as a coach too, seeing it firsthand from the younger generation of how the gap is still there, but so different from when I was growing up.
The perception, I think, still exists, right? Where, like, the perception that what you're doing wrestling or what we're doing mountain biking is that it's dangerous,
Ugh.
and that, when the reality and the data don't really match that. And so we're, trying to shake that up. So the perception that, oh, mountain biking is far more dangerous than dance or than cheerleading, when I mean, I love both of those. I studied dance also in college, so I'm a big fan of doing all the things. But cheerleading, is one of the has one of the highest rates of injury in high school sport. And so the perception of some of our sports that are a little non-traditional, that they may be dangerous for girls and women still exists,
Mhm.
unfortunately. So just trying to show and demonstrate that that is not the case.
That's such a good point, and, I mean, it to me, it kinda proves that the younger you can get started in these sports, then it just helps more. You have more body awareness and just the skill, the strength, all the things that can help be preventative. Obviously, injuries can happen in the craziest ways, the most simple ways, all those things, but still, if we're able to get young girls introduced to some of these sports a little earlier, kinda changing that perception, it helps the growth everywhere all around in all ways. Were you a
Absolutely.
cyclist, growing up or in your younger age, or where did cycling come into your life?
Yeah, oh, good question. I haven't really thought about that, but yeah, I guess I didn't consider myself one, but my dad was really into bikes. So since I was little, it was like, we did bike touring. So it was on the road bikes with like bags and backpacks, and we would like go somewhere not very far, but like go somewhere for the day or go somewhere for an overnight. So my dad was always really into cycling, but it was always road. He, like, didn't do any off-road. So it was, some adventuring on bikes was part of my life when I was a kid, but it wasn't until I went to college that I kind of figured out mountain biking and off-road and all that. But yeah, it wasn't completely foreign to me, but we certainly weren't doing, like, trips as a family, riding off-road as a family or any of that. It was all road stuff.
Well, there's so many disciplines of it, and I think, honestly, a lot of us, unless you are in a mountainous area, so like a mountain town or a smaller town, I don't know that, like, the chances of you introduced to off-road or mountain biking are definitely smaller. I grew up in a big city, I was riding bikes around the block, right? Just riding to school, riding to friends' house, and then when I got older, got introduced to road bikes, but I wasn't like a road biker. It was just, kind of a hipster cool thing to have like a old school Schwinn and ride around town. But it was again just kind of commuting and I was never like super duper into it. I had some roommates that were definitely way more into cycling than I was, but it was fun. And when I found mountain biking is when I felt like I had more of that like kid connection where like this is really fun again. But it wasn't until I was an adult in my 20s that I found mountain biking, and I think that's more normal than not because I said if you're living in a city, which a majority of people are, you gotta get to a trail, which takes the time and all that, so I think it's definitely more of the majority that people are more familiar with, like, road biking and things like that, and probably will be the majority for a long time, but it's,
Yeah, no, it's a really good point, honestly, and in my work over the last probably 10 years, I've really been trying to work on the concept of bringing mountain biking to the people rather
Mhm,
than the people to the mountain biking, because as you said, like most people the majority of people in America live in urban areas where there isn't necessarily access. And so, how can we either create access to trail or create urban access
mhm.
that allows more people to get into it? You don't need to have a car to access trail. So that concept of building up urban infrastructure, whether it's like a little greenway underneath the highway or it's trail alongside the road to get to school that you can ride your bike to school instead of riding on the street, um, are all what we would consider mountain biking or off-road riding and all, really important pieces to the puzzle of getting more diverse folks into it and just like more diverse communities too. Like
Mhm.
a little suburban town isn't that doesn't have a great trailhead and great trails, isn't going to be a place that you would go to ride your bike. But can we create opportunities within that town to access dirt and to get to places and use those trails for transportation as well, and there's opportunities in many communities for that.
Yes, like, I mean, even I feel like I've definitely been seeing more bike parks and stuff pop up, and not bike parks with, a bunch of jumps or anything, but just flowy trails. So even at Tacoma, Washington, so where I'm from, there is Swan Creek, which is a bike park, that there's some sections where there's little jumps and things like that, but I don't know how big off the top of my head it is, but just little loopy trails on dirt, and it's in the middle of the city. So again, it's just giving that access to people to get off the road, and if you live close by, then obviously you can bike to it, but, I love what you said about bringing mountain biking to the people versus bringing the people to mountain biking, and getting again, it just helps so much getting a more diverse group of people out there, and again, even for just access for people who already if they can get to trails, right? They are mountain bikers, but maybe you can only do it on the weekend. Well, it feels really good to be able to just go to this bike park on a weekday and get an hour in or half an hour in, like, on dirt. And also because cycling in urban areas can be just has so many variables and things itself with cars. Is there bike lanes and just so many other obstacles that it can be really nice just to know that you've got this little offshoot where you can go ride your bike and not worry about, like, other vehicles or just getting around and things like that. So I love that
Well,
idea.
yeah, and, like, if you think about, like, basketball, like, you if you have access to a court in your neighborhood, you're psyched,
Mhm.
right? You don't really care if the court is imperfect or if it isn't lit or if there isn't, like, amazing parking or, like, maybe the court is kinda cracked, and whatever. Like, you're just psyched that you
Mhm.
have a court close, right, that you can go to. And so for those of us who've been riding mountain bikes and doing, like, big rides and, like, really into, like or endurance cycling or cross country riding, like, we, we have the opportunity to shift our mindset to a new way of thinking about off-road cycling,
Mhm.
and that it doesn't have to be necessarily going to, like, Crested Butte and riding the most sick trail for 4 hours through wildflowers, like, while that's wonderful, the opportunity for people to, get on their bikes and outside of their houses, and experience a little bit of nature is really powerful too, so kinda reframing the way
Mhm.
we trying to reframe the way we think about off-road riding and privilege and our opportunities and stuff is there's a big opportunity there because like, even just a high school, if you think about it, like, any high school in America has a football field, or many of them do, right? With lights, they might even have a snack shack. They have, like, a place to park and, like, all that, and so, like, can we think about the football field as where we can mountain bike? Like, can you go over there after school and, like, rip around and have fun and maybe try some man-made features and just get comfortable on your bike? Like, that's awesome, and so, yeah, just kinda rethinking the way our lens
Mhm.
around what mountain biking actually means.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, and that's something I definitely have to work on, and again, I think our audience, a lot of folks are active outdoor people, and I say this a lot that, I live in a bit of a bubble being in a ski town, mountain town, and having so much access to these longer rides, gravel roads, and mountain bike trails, like, just endless options of that. And even when it comes to, before when I was mostly like snowboarding and at the resort, and you get this idea of like, oh, you're not a snowboarder or skier if you don't do this or don't have that. And I think that I like to think anyways, overall as an industry, we're all more trying better to, like, change those narratives. Like, again, getting outside, there's no certain criteria you have to meet to be considered a hiker, a skier, a biker, a snowboarder, an athlete at all, just getting out and moving and, like, all of us, it's gonna look differently for everyone. So, we can't say that, "Oh, it's not mountain biking," if you're not in the mountains, right? So, I think that the more all of us who are involved a little deeper, like, can change that lens, like you said, and make people feel kinda welcoming and, I don't know, drop the elitist kind of attitude that
Yes.
some of us carry, which again, I 100% know I have been in that position, and I think what's really helped change my perspective and kind of listen to my own narrative or anything is just how my body and fitness has changed over the years, and knowing that, like, how I get outside or what I do does look different than what it did 5, 10 years ago. And does that make me any less of a snowboarder or outdoor enthusiast or anything like that? Like, no. So I think really becoming okay with that has, like, enabled me to kind of I don't relate to people who are in these like, who don't have the access to
Yeah.
understand, like, you can fit in even if you're not doing it every weekend or, only a couple times a year or something. You don't have to, again, get 100 days in to be able to call yourself a whatever the name.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I saw some kids yesterday. I was on a dog walk and I saw some kids at the dog park, like dorking out, like trying to get up on the little picnic table, and like they were having so much fun. I tried not to be the creepy lady to go over there and be like, "Have you heard about high school cycling?" So I was don't go over there, Vanessa, like, rein yourself in, but yeah, like, people are finding joy on bikes in all different ways, and it's a matter of us in the industry and in leadership and nonprofit in the cycling world and stuff to understand that that's the reality, that it doesn't look like just a fitness-based thing or a performance-based thing.
Exactly. When mountain biking came into your life, was it just recreational? Were you doing any kind of, like, competing, or how did it look for you?
Yeah, so I went to Fort Lewis College and I brought my mountain bike. I remember showing up at the dorms, and I had a mountain bike and a drum, and I was like total hippie. And my roommate was from the Midwest, and she was like, "What the hell? What is happening?" Like she has a drum and a mountain bike. This is really bad.
I
Um,
love this picture
but
in my head.
yeah, and then I was, like, trying to fashion some hooks on this, cinder block wall to hang the mountain bike over my bed and stuff. Um, but I certainly got more into it at Fort Lewis, and because the access there was just amazing, and you can ride right from campus. There's a trail that goes from town up to campus. There's trails right out the back of campus. I wasn't on the mountain bike team there at Fort Lewis, but when I graduated, I ended up working for a bike touring company for Backroads for many years, which is a fantastic job. And then got into racing cross country bikes, and that was when everyone was racing hardtail steel hardtail mountain bikes, and I was, like, very mediocre at it, but I really enjoyed it. It was just super fun and, like, hard and badass and stuff, so yes, I raced, and even now still I'll go out and do some races and just never, like, necessarily trying to, like, win, but just trying to go have fun with other people who enjoyed, riding bikes and challenging themselves.
I love it 'cause I was a pretty competitive person just with, like, growing up playing team sports and all that, and, at one time when I first got into mountain biking and in my mid-20s, this is like, "Oh, how far can I, like, push this?" Whatever, like, "Can I get this good, that good, blah, 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 maybe I'll do races," but I didn't
Yeah.
end up doing any until what, 2 or 3 years ago when I did the Sturdy Dirty for the first time, the all-women's enduro in, Washington, and it was the first time that I feel like I did something, like, quote, unquote, "competitive," signed up for a race without
Cool.
any pressure in my mind to be trying to win, just, like, for the pure fun of it, and so it was really cool to be in an environment and to be in that mindset where, like, I can do this, and I can just do it for fun. I don't care what place I come in, so I love that you have that
Yeah.
mentality just hopping in on races, and you're like, This is just fun. I don't care if if I win, if I am in 50th place, whatever, like, I just wanna do it and have fun, and that is something I have to still, like, work on in my mind, and, I do wanna do, a gravel race sometime,
Oh.
and it's definitely in my head that I'm still really working on, like, "Okay, am I gonna be in the right mental place, or how do I get in the right mental, like, state to be able to just do it and not feel pressure when people are just, like, passing you or looking at the clock and wondering where you are and whatnot. So that is something I am slowly, again, mostly working on, like, to get to that mental place to do. Did you feel like you ever had a hard time with that yourself?
Yeah, I mean, we're our own worst enemy. We're always comparing ourselves to our former self or to somebody else, and then pretending that we're not and that we're just out there for fun, but then we're freaking losing our mind because we don't want to stop and fill our water bottle and like uh it just turns out that there are only 3 to 5 spots on the podium ever, and so, once you kind of I mean, if you're gunning for that, amazing,
Mhm.
do it, go for it, but it does change the dynamic if you realize, like, okay, maybe there are 3 to 5 people that are much better than me at this, and I'm just gonna do my best and, like, also have a freaking blast and, like, talk
Yes.
to some people and, like, laugh along the way, and I feel like you'll maybe, do more events if you know, do it from that mindset. Um, because yeah, there are a few podium spots, and those are awesome to aspire to for sure.
Mhm.
And I admire all the people that do. But I do feel like the rest of the pack is like also aspiring to do something cool and challenging for themselves and yeah, it's just like a personal battle, right, within your own head because nobody actually cares, Taryn, how
Yes.
you place and how I play. They don't care. Like, we're the only ones who are giving ourselves a hard time about where we place. Like,
Absolutely.
everyone else is just like, "Wow, you're doing a mountain bike race. That's amazing."
Right, and there's that perspective, that when you're someone else is looking at it like, "Oh my god, I can't believe you did that at all," and they think it's amazing, and it's that same kind of idea where, like, getting just on dirt can be considered mountain biking. You don't have to do this
Yeah.
crazy race to be, like, a biker. Like, it works in so many different ways of and remembering those when you're in those moments of for those people who, maybe aren't into these sports yet and want to, but they're worried, like, they don't know how to get in because 'cause they're like, "Well, that's not mountain biking." Well, like, yes, it can be, like, we
Yeah.
have to, yeah, shut our brains off sometimes and just, like, know that there's no certain way it should look, a race has to look, anything, but
Yes.
and just coming from, like, a competitive background, I think it's just extra hard for me, and the comparison of my previous self is definitely the hardest thing.
Oh. Oh, yeah, and, I did it I remember, you know, the first m many gravel events that I did, I was like, "What the hell do gravel people wear?" Like, they don't wear mountain bike outfits, so we're not going with the baggy shirt, but do they wear spandex? Like, is there a different helmet? Am I not supposed to wear my visor? Is it, like, lame? Okay, I want the visor for the sun. Okay, not allowed. Okay, cool, no gloves because that means you're soft if you're wearing gloves. Okay, no
Okay,
gloves,
good to
got it.
know.
So, um, it's just so ridiculous, like, all these different ways that you, analyze yourself when, again, nobody cares.
Yes, exactly, no one
Like,
cares
if
except
you
for
just
you.
go out there and have fun and push yourself, like, that's what it's all about.
Oh my
So,
god.
we're our own worst enemies sometimes.
Well, from working with backroads, which I had a friend back in the day who went off and worked for them. I can't remember if she did some international trips, but that was something that was on my mind too. Like, oh, that'd be so cool. It seemed like such a cool company. But working for them, working on the touring, kind of like guiding side, how did you transition into working with like the nonprofit sector or with the youth?
Oh, yeah, so I did back right as I graduated from college just because I was into cycling and I was, like, into adventure and I didn't wanna go right into a career. I really didn't know what I wanted to do. So, highly recommend for anyone who's considering being a guide of any sort in the sport that you like or coach for a bit. So fun and rewarding, great way to see the country and the world and stuff and, meet fascinating people. But I eventually became a high school teacher, an English teacher, and really thought that that was going to be my career. I was very into English and high school kids and absolutely loved that, public school, but also still love to ride all the time. And then I learned about the high school cycling league, which was in its nascent phases in California, which is now NICA, which is now like in 33 states across the country. But it started here in Northern California, and it was very, very small. There was like 100 kids involved
Wow.
when I was teaching, and I was like, oh, this would be cool. I could start a mountain bike team at my school, and, I had a friend who was a math teacher at my high school too, and he was into cycling, and sorry, I know this is gonna go out to the public, but we were like, "If we do practice on if we coach, we don't have to go to staff meetings."
Ah.
We were like, "Yes, this is amazing." We were like, "Not only do we get to ride, but we get to miss the dumb, like, staff professional development meetings, and we
Yes.
can just go ride with kids." So we started the team, and quickly I was really amazed at I really loved the connection I could have with kids in the classroom and, around the written word and literacy and literature and stuff, and then on bikes, I was like, "Wow, we can have a similar connection,"
Mhm.
and around movement and, um challenge and new spaces and all that. So I joined the board of the high school cycling league at that time, and then I was kind of like always like, I want that guy's jobs. That guy's job seems cool. I have no idea how to do that guy's job. This was the guy that ran the league. I'm like, that seems cool. And then he left when he was leaving to start NICA, to start the National Interscholastic Cycling Association. I was ensconced in my teaching job. I was very happy, stoked, running the team, but I was also like, well, this is maybe an opportunity for me to do what I actually really love, which is connecting with kids outdoors.
Mhm.
Um, and I didn't know shit about, sorry, bleep that out, but
Oh, no, we
about
we let 'em fly here.
a nonprofit. I was just like a well-intentioned English teacher who likes to ride. So I'm like, I went for it. I was lucky enough to get the job and then just surrounded myself with people who are smarter than me and mentors and just books and taught myself about nonprofit management and governance and all the things to be able to grow the NorCal League. So it was not an intentional pathway. It was just more of a followed what I was really loving doing in the moment.
I love it so much because, again, with the podcast, the mission here is to, like, inspire women to kinda do the thing, right? And to remind us that there is no one path. No one's path looks the same, and you can definitely take a hard left in life, You may be on this track where you thought,
Yeah.
yeah, you were gonna be an English teacher and that was it, and then something came up and you're like, "Well, I enjoy doing this, and how can I do it more?" And that's so awesome that, you found that and the way it came into your life and you were able to segue into it. But I mean, by no means am I saying like, "Oh, sounds easy. You just like jumped ship and learned and blah blah." I'm sure it had many struggles and what do you call it? Like growing pains and
It
things like that.
Yeah, it's true, all that is true, and I will also say that what I have learned is that women, we don't often we often don't raise our hands for opportunities
Mhm.
unless we feel like we know every single thing.
Mhm. Mhm.
So, unless we're like, "Okay, I know nonprofit law, I know governance, I know how structure, I'm good, I can jump into this avenue, I'm ready." Um That has been a learning curve for me too, like feeling, "Oh, I'm not ready for this. I don't know if I have all of it." And, um, I do feel like that's a difference in the genders that
Mhm.
there. Um, so that's been continues to be a big lesson for me to, lean into things that I am not necessarily an expert in and learn and work on, but, not to be scared of them because I'm not perfect at it or I'm not an expert yet.
It's so
It's been
hard.
really a challenge. Yeah.
recently told someone, like, we were talking about applying for jobs and things, and I was like, "I've applied to a ton of jobs that I don't think I have, the qualifications for." Um, but very recently, I've found myself, like, suddenly being on the opposite side of that, like, seeing all these jobs, and I'm like, "Well, I actually, like, don't know how to do that. I've been making this shit up as I go along the whole time. I'm not, like, a professional. I've been on my own, like, working for someone else who doesn't really know
Yeah,
what the
but
fuck
you
they're
also
doing
have
in
your
this."
own super successful podcast, and you're a coach, and you're amazing, so you do know the things.
Right, well, it's just so interesting how, like, we go through these phases where it doesn't feel sometimes like it was a struggle or issue, and then all of a sudden you find yourself in this place of like, "Wait a second, why am I second guessing myself suddenly? Like, where did this
Yeah.
come from? Where are these thoughts coming from?" And, I think that, again, just having to remind ourselves, like, we can go through these phases, but we just can't stay in them, right? Like, you just don't get stuck in them. Move through them. You'll get through back to that other side, figure out whatever is kind of, like, blocking you from moving, and it may be a slow push, like it feels like it is for me now, but it's just, like, yeah, very interesting to think of, like, "Whoa, this is how am I here now? Why am I in this spot? Why am I not having this confidence that I, like, did have?" But again, like I said, we just go through these phases. We have to talk to awesome people who remind us, like, to do the
Yes,
thing. Like, just go for
for
the
sure.
thing. It doesn't have to be perfect, right? We can't wait for perfect. And I'm sure,
Yeah.
like, She Sends itself as a foundation didn't start with everything, like, in line of, like, "This is what we're doing, this is how we're gonna do it," right? It was just like,
No.
okay, someone had a mission, and that was Kate Courtney, right? Who and, uh, there's a team now, you're on that team to help the overall mission, and everyone's gonna continue to learn and grow as you need because it's always gonna be evolving in how you can reach your mission. So when was it what was your transition from the, national, what was it, the
Yeah, yeah, you got the
NorCal
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Interscholastic
yeah.
Cycling League to,
Oh,
into
so
SheSends?
yes. Well, just to step back and to give you some personal, um, info, that's maybe TMI, but I'm a cancer survivor, and that has really led a lot of my decisions as
Mm,
an adult. Um, both just with gratitude for being alive
mhm.
and also motivation to take advantage of every day because, um, I had a really intense diagnosis in 2011 about to was given a year to live
Oh my gosh.
and was had I had colon cancer at 35, young, which is now
Whoa.
not young, apparently one of the more commonly diagnosed cancers, but I was, so my kind of motivation for life really arced up big
Mm,
time,
mhm.
both in just kind of not a "fuck it" mentality, but a bit of like, "Okay, well, might as well try all the things, fail, succeed, do all the things you've ever thought of because
What are you
you have a
waiting for?
year."
Yeah.
Yeah, um, and I'd like to think that we all have the ability to tap into that, not stress and hopefully, distress, but that we all have the ability to really, like, ask ourselves, like, "Okay, if you have a limited amount of time on the planet, like, what do you wanna do with your time?"
Which we all do.
So yeah, we do, and you can ask yourself that tonight and change everything tomorrow, um so, um I was doing my life's work that I absolutely loved, and I had taken that leap and was running the high school cycling league in California, and then, got really sick again and was really sidelined again, 3 years ago and was kind of again facing my mortality and going, "Okay, what what like, is this good for me? Is this if, if this is the only work I do, like, am I feeling stoked that this is my only work?" And I was kinda like, "Well, there's more to do." Um, or there's something different to do. So that has been, honestly a big motivating factor for me, and I'm healthy, I'm good, like,
Good.
I'm not trying to be here like I'm dying or anything, I am good.
Thank you
But
for letting us know that.
yeah. But, it really has allowed me the opportunity to make bold choices, and also being in a marriage where my husband's really super supportive and would do anything to help me do whatever I want in life, like, with those 2 things. I mean, I couldn't do what I'm doing without those things. Um so I went, I think I'm ready to do something different, and I told him, and we worked it out, and we were like, "Well, we're gonna be broke as shit because one of us is gonna be working and one's not. What are we gonna do?" And, Kate Courtney was an alumni of our program, and she and I have been friends, since. Um so she's 30 and I'm about to be 50, so we have a big age difference, but, we have mutually admired one another over the years, and she was, product of our program, and over the years, like, when she would come home from college and stuff, we would do organized rides with her and get girls out on bikes, and she'd reach out to me and be like, "Let's do this, let's do that." So we just stayed in touch. But I don't know what factor was at work, but when I told my husband that I was ready to, like, just do something else and make something else happen in the world, it was just a few weeks after that that Kate called me and asked me if I would be she's like, "I know you're busy, but is there any way you'd be open to running my foundation?" So it's kind of like a just absolute dream landed in my lap. It didn't land there without a lot of hard work
Mhm.
and relationship building and, um, you know, building a program that's really successful, but just felt like really serendipitous, and wild timing that she was asking me while I was ready to do something different. So I'm still involved with NICA. I'm on the vice president of the board of directors for
Wow.
NICA, so I'm really helping to drive policy and big picture vision for the National Interscholastic Cycling League, the high school cycling in America. But get to do my day to day with building the foundation with Kate, which is the whole idea, like we talked about at the beginning of the podcast, about getting more girls and women on bikes, because there's a lot of work to be done in this space. So that's how I got here.
I love it, and I mean, I absolutely, again, just love a story of timing, and because it's a good reminder, again, for all of us who might feel
Yes.
like, it's okay, we can get woo-woo a lot on this podcast, and sometimes I find myself in those positions of like, "Look, I'm manifesting the fuck out of things, and it's not falling from the sky." So, like,
Yeah.
what's happening here? What's the missing piece? Or just, like, whatever, but, remembering
Yeah.
too that, timing really just does matter, and having that kind of faith that, like, things will happen the way they're supposed to, when they're supposed to. It can be very, very, very hard waiting, but it's like I said, you put it out there into the world, you went through these, like, cancer battles and, like I said, facing your own mortality and being able to really put this energy out into the world that you're ready for something else and different and bigger and, like, but you're still involved in NICA, so it's, like, all the same. I think that gives you even more of a reach to continue to reach the young girls to get
Yeah.
out there. Like, you have several different ways now to reach more girls and women to get out there on their bikes. I mean, I've been hearing about NICA so much in this last year and the growth and what they're
Oh,
doing,
cool.
and it's super cool to hear about and see because, I mean, for me growing up, again, in a city, and that was definitely not that's not a thing. Like, mountain biking or even
Yeah.
cycling teams is
Yeah.
not even on the radar, so I still think it's so, so cool. I mean, here in Truckee, we have a mountain bike team, and I'm like, it's so awesome to see these outdoor activities available to kids as teams. Like, we also didn't have ski or snowboard teams. A couple schools in Tacoma tried to started, like, clubs, um, to arrange, like, transportation to get to the mountain, but it was a distance, an hour and a half, 2 hours away, not 15 minutes like it is here in Truckee, so I think it's such an amazing way, again, to get that access to kids to these outdoor activities because even in these smaller towns or places where it seems more accessible, that doesn't mean every family has the ability to
Yeah,
give their kid a bike and get them out on the trails. And so many kids are introduced to their sports through school. That's why team sports are more popular. They're in schools. You can play for your
yeah,
middle school basketball team, wrestling team, baseball team, and a lot of times, most the gear is provided or it's, a pair of shoes or something limited that the school can help kids get or
yeah.
families can more easily get that than a bike, than a pair of skis, and all the things that come with these outdoor activities.
Yeah, well, we'll have to meet up, you and I, at a Nevada North, high school cycling league race in Truckee. They happen in the fall, but they're really cool, so we'll have to go there and just
Yes.
check out the awesome things that kids are and adults are doing in the cycling space.
Heck yes. Okay, so with SheSends again specifically, what
Yeah.
is your role in, like, or title? Do you have a certain title or whatnot within it?
I do. I'm the executive consultant to hopefully to be or will be the executive director this year. Um, by this year, we're recording right now in November. So in 2026, I'll be the executive director. And we are my role is basically to create the structure and maintain, you know, all of our donor relations and all of our grantees and serve them and make sure that we're doing the best that we can with the funds that we have. So, what we're doing is we're writing grants for individuals and nonprofit organizations that are serving girls and women trying to get on bikes. So, whether you are a young kid who wants to get into it, but you don't have the money to get a bike, or you are a woman from the inner city who has heard about gravel and is interested in trying that, or you want to join our Zwift community that we're about to start,
Ooh,
or
fun.
you are a someone who's trying to race, U23 get XCO World Cup racing. We're trying to give funds where they are needed because unlike other sports that are really well funded, more traditional sports, cycling is still not super well funded, and the cycling industry has taken quite a hit since COVID. So sponsorships are less amazing than they used to be. So we're just trying to help like raise the bar for both individuals and grassroots organizations that are getting girls and women into bikes, but then we're also trying to do the connect piece. So, like connect, support, and inspire. What does that mean? So, support, that's money. Okay, so we're giving away money. Connect, what does that mean? Well, we just started a Strava group. She Sends rides. We're gonna create ambassadors across the country to do in-person rides, and then we're also doing Zwift. We're gonna start Zwift rides. So really, just actually trying to bring people together for no money, just to like find women in your community to ride with. If you maybe don't know anyone in your community to ride with, try and connect y'all. The inspiration piece is certainly led by Kate's leadership and by her incredible work ethic and both results driven. Yes, she's an amazing world champion. She has two world championship titles. She won Leadville, all the things, but also just in how she lives her life and how she shows up and takes that fame and turns it into motivation for other people. Like she could just hang out at home with the trophies and the
Yeah.
things, but instead of that, she's like, "I wanna take all that and put it into to other girls and women," so just really trying to elevate the sport, from being perceived as like we said at the beginning, perceived as a dangerous sport that's made for boys to an accessible sport that's made for all the girls.
I love it. Is there a Are you focused on, like, that U23, the younger, like, girls and women, or like, especially for the community connection aspect, is that, like, anyone is welcome?
Yeah, oh, great question. We have, like, 3 pillars. The way we see them is development, dominance, and diversity. and none of them is more important than the other. So development is like developing, like getting people into it. Um, from the ground up. So Little Bellas, youth programs. We're doing some stuff on the reservation in the Southwest, getting girls into it who haven't ridden bikes. We're doing stuff in inner city and the East Coast, girls who've never ridden bikes at all. So then so that's development. Diversity, obvious. Race, age, gender, all the things. We want all the people involved, all the women involved. Men are great too, but we're trying to just get all the women and non-binary and all the people, that identify as women involved. And then dominance, which is a piece that doesn't appeal to everybody, but to that piece that's important to many is like being the very best of the best and attempting to, potentially be an Olympian or win a World Cup and be a USAC top athlete. So all of those pieces cannot exist without each other.
Mhm.
So we don't weigh one heavier than the other. They all carry equal weight because in order to become, which is really the ultimate goal, is just to have lifelong cyclists, right? Like people who like women who want to ride their bikes forever and like enjoy health and fun and friends and maybe some competition and stoke. And that happens through a number of different pathways. So those are kind of our 3 pathways that we're focusing on right now.
Awesome. Okay. Well, it's so cool. You don't often see, a foundation that kinda hits all of those, where it feels like you might have to choose one, and like you said, all 3 are not one's not better than the other, where said that you'd think sometimes these foundations who, like, really wanna focus on the dominance, like, they're going
Mhm.
headfirst into the people who want to race or compete or whatnot, and I like your perspective and view that, like, all 3 can't exist without each other. You need the diversity and the development, and you need people to be able to even be introduced, like I said, to be able to even get to that dominance and to diversify the dominance pillar, so I love that SheSends
Yes.
is hitting all of those. That's really incredible. And so you said you do, grants and whatnot, um, but how do you I know there's all sorts of applications and getting grants and whatnot, but I also know you guys do some fundraising and campaigns, like, is that tied into the grants or some of the campaigns you guys run for these grant programs? Or tell us, I guess, the different ways that people can get involved with She Sends, like, what their route, where their money or things could be going, and then also, like, the receiving end, if people are out there wanting to get access to biking, how can they apply for these grants?
Yeah, yeah, amazing question and very well framed. Um, so we don't have a huge budget because we just started a year ago.
Okay.
But Kate has personally been like, "I'm putting in this money because I believe in it." So she'll
Wow.
take, like, what she gets paid from her sponsors and puts it into the foundation. She's also, had her sponsors put in X amount of money to the foundation, and then it is individuals who wanna support us. So we're scrappy and small. I think some people think when they see foundation, they think like, "Oh, you just have, like, a ton of money. You're, like,
Yeah.
have some magic fairy that's, like, filling the foundation coffers with money," which would be cool, but we
Yes.
don't have that yet. We're ready for you. So, girl, if you are out there, we are ready for you, but,
Yeah, if that's how it worked, it
so
would be the Tearing It Up Foundation, not podcast.
yes, it would be, and totally, we would support whatever, and you would support us. We would all be, like, at the table together. But we are in our first capital campaign. We've never done one, so this started yesterday, and we'll go through the end of the year where we're raising money from individuals, um, to support our work, and then we're also, um trying to double everyone's donations with folks who come in and say like, "Hey, I have maybe a bigger chunk of change I wanna give," and then we can propel that into a bigger donation for our community. Um, but really, we're super scrappy right now. We don't have venture capitalist money behind us. We don't have any huge, like, checks coming in from grandma or somebody, that, like we are doing the most with the budget that we have, but we also believe so much in both the women's sports movement in general right now, um, and the ability and potential for women athletes that we have to just believe and know and again take another leap to be like, we're gonna build all this, we're gonna do it on a shoestring budget, and we're just gonna know that the money's going to come, and as soon as we get it, we're gonna give it away. And it takes a lot of faith and a lot of what ifs and a lot of stress and, wondering, but we just like, what's the worst thing that can happen? We totally fail.
Mhm.
And we can't give away the X amount that we wanna give away. But we just don't, we're trying not to operate in that mindset. We're trying to operate not in a scarcity mindset, but in, like, a mindset of that there's abundance out there and that there are people who care about women's sport and that this is meaningful, and so, what we do matters, and so, hopefully operating from that perspective means that we'll bring it in and shuttle it out immediately as we get it.
Well,
So I'll report back, girl, in,
yes.
5 weeks when we're done with our campaign. Because right now we just started, like I said yesterday, we just started our end of year campaign, and what we're trying to do is bring people into the fold who want to do this work and with us. And that money, we're super excited to say that like every single dollar that comes into us goes out immediately back to either grassroots organizations or individuals. um so that's us right now. Between now and the end of the year is hoping that folks want to be part of our team. Um, we've met a lot of surprisingly, like, there are tons of women who are into it, but then we're calling them dadvocates. We've had all these
Yes.
dadvocates
Oh, I
who
love
are,
that
like, so
advocate.
stoked, and we love them. They are the best. They're like they have a daughter, or they have a niece, or they have a neighbor, and they're, like, really stoked on getting said girl relationship into cycling, and so the Dadvocates have been really big part of our team too, so thanks.
I absolutely
Thanks,
love
y'all.
that dadvocate word. That's so cool. And, we often say too, it's like, of course, we're here for the women, for the girls, for all that, but we love our supportive men,
Of
and we all have
course,
to work
we're doing
together.
this work together.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
it speaks absolute volumes that Kate is putting her own money in. Like you said, she could be just, like, kinda sitting around enjoying her trophies and doing whatever, like, might be next for an athlete,
yeah.
continuing to whether that's race and compete or, like, make content for her sponsors, have fun, do whatever, but the money she's getting paid is going right back into the foundation. She believes in it so much, and I think, again, like, when people are putting their personal money behind, it's like putting her money where her mouth is, right? She's not just out here starting this foundation asking others. She believes in it. She knows there's a mission. I mean, I anything to me that's getting more girls outside or active, I'm like 100%. We need all the girls in all the things. So I think it's absolutely
Heck yeah.
incredible. And like, so as soon as the money's coming in, it's going out. That's also amazing to see. And people aren't wondering, like, okay, well, what happens now, And so speaking
Yeah.
of that though, with the grants then, are there like certain times that people can apply for those grants, and are there a certain number of, like, grants you have right now or specific grants that people need to look out for?
Great question. You would think you would know this. We're just figuring it all out because this is literally our first year,
Right.
and we did it this year kind of like a shotgun method. Like, as soon as we got money, we'd be like, "Okay, we have, like, a couple $1,000. How do we give it away?" Like, so, so we're figuring it out this year, but we're gonna do a spring and fall next year in
Cool.
2026. Actually have, like, a cadence and tell people about it
Yeah,
and
yeah,
be
they can
about it.
yes, put it on their
Yeah.
calendar, be ready for
Yes.
it, and yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so now how is it exactly that the people who want to get involved or can support, how do they do that?
Oh, cool. Yeah. Well, we hope you guys will love to go. If anyone wants to, it lives in California, wants to go on a ride, talk more about this, hit me up. I'd love to go. But otherwise, we're on the socials, of course. She Sends Foundation. We're at shesendsfoundation.org. Kate has a Substack as well, which is a great read. She sends out what she calls a Monday mantra. It's
Ooh,
not directly related to foundation, but it's her musings on life and training and balance between the two. And it's even for someone like myself who doesn't race and who isn't trying to be the very best in their sport, it is a very inspiring read. So I definitely recommend the Monday Mantra on Substack. But of course, our socials. And then if you want to get on our newsletter, we send maybe like 3 newsletters a year, but they're really full of cool stuff and like opportunities and all that. So check out our newsletter on our website. And then if you're on Strava, we just literally 2 days ago started the She Sends Cycling Club. Hit us up there. And then we will be starting some Zwift rides as well. So you'll see that soon as well.
It's amazing, so many ways to connect, and I see obviously on the website a big just donate button there that can't
Yes.
miss for those who are ready
Yes.
or able to do that, a one-time or monthly donation, very cool, I love.
Thanks for that shout out, girl.
Yeah, of
Good looking
course.
out.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, and I mean, it's the holiday season, right? This year has been, we know, just absolutely nutty. A lot of people might be strapped for things, but it is such an amazing way to, if you can, like, give back to these foundations and organizations, even just a small amount, or even obviously just like sharing, right? Like, you've listened to
Totally.
this podcast, either sharing this episode with other people or sharing when you see something from She Sends on social media that a grant is out or that the campaign is going on. Giving Tuesday is December 2nd. So if you are looking for some organizations on that day, and again, like Vanessa said, this campaign's going through the end of the year, so there's plenty of time. I mean, I know that I don't always have like a lot of extra cash to donate, but said any little amount, I know how much it helps and matters, and especially for a foundation in their infancy, that it is so much
Yeah.
appreciated. So just don't ever think that like if you can't give a certain amount, that is not enough. Just like we've talked about this whole podcast, that it's the perspective. Like, you don't have to be shelling out $500 for it to matter or make a difference. You can make that $50, $25, whatever donation that you can, and it is going to be appreciated and it's going to go somewhere to help someone out. So don't let those like thoughts and ideas stop you from getting involved in something that if it resonates with you. And I hope that it
Yeah, thank
does.
you. I mean, we have a number of donors who do $5 a month, which is huge. And then also the other piece is like with 0 money involved is like look in your own communities and see who's doing girls' rides or who is doing women's rides and get involved yourself. That's another way to help build this movement without any dollars is just to get involved locally when you have an extra hour on a Sunday or a Tuesday or something and get involved. It'll probably bring you as much joy as it brings the people that you're serving. So
I love it. Yes,
thanks
that's
for.
the idea of the Strava club and the Zwift, and it's like so fun again to just find that connection. Like, you may not be aiming to be competitive, to race at all, but looking for someone in your area to connect with and get out there. So it's like I said, all these different ways that you guys have created for women to get out there is awesome. So you guys will be able to find all those things in the show notes. Again, keep this campaign in your mind, and of course, even when the campaign's over. It's a nonprofit. You'll always be able to support and donate, whether that's sharing or again just getting involved in the community. Vanessa, thank you so much for sharing your story too and how you got started in SheSends and obviously all about what you've shared with SheSends. So everybody out there, thank you so much. Again, check those show notes and keep SheSends in your thoughts over the next
Keep tearing,
giving
and
month.
also let me just say, keep tearing it up, ladies. Thank you very much. It's been so fun to chat with you. Thank you. It means a lot that you reached out to us, and like it's a huge deal to get to be part of your community. So thank you.
Thank you so much, and definitely another we gotta shout out Ace for sure for the connection. Um, you
Yes.
guys, like, she needs to be on the podcast. She's connected me with some awesome, awesome people, so I gotta just get
She's
Ace on
amazing.
herself, but
On the East Productions. Hey.
yes, yes, exactly. Alright, everybody, thanks so much for listening, and we will talk to you next week.
Thanks, girl.